I really feel compelled as an American to address the spectacle that is playing out before my eyes in the national media surrounding the events that took place in Charlottesville, Virginia, and in particular, President Trump's reaction to those events, or the way the media wants to portray his reaction to those events and use it in a way to paint the president as a racist, as a defender of Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan and white supremacists. And none of this is factual. I mean, I don't know if you were able to watch the entire press conference yesterday from President Trump in the lobby of Trump Tower, where it really wasn't a press conference. It was almost like an inquisition. I mean, the members of the press were not really there to question the president. They were there to entrap the president. They were there to further an agenda to try to mischaracterize the president and those people who support him. And I know it's obvious that very few members of the press respect Donald Trump. That's clear. But they need to respect the presidency. They need to respect the office that he holds. You know, could you imagine members of the press treating President Obama the way they're treating President Trump? Could you imagine the cries of racism that would be there? Of course, no member of the press would dare show that type of disrespect to President Obama, but they have no problem displaying that type of disrespect to President Trump. And I know a lot of people think, oh, Peter, you should stick to economics or stick to the markets. Don't venture into politics. And, I speak about everything. But if you're one of those people that doesn't like it when I talk politics, then don't listen to the rest of this podcast. Just wait for my next podcast and, you'll get one on economics or on the markets. But again, I really want to set the record straight. And I want to defend the president because a lot of people say, oh, Peter, you always attack President Trump. And I attack him. I criticize him when I think he's doing something wrong. Like when he did the press conference yesterday, there was no reason for him to interject comments about how we have a booming economy, about how he's created 1 million jobs, about how the stock market is hitting new record highs, right? All of this is counterproductive and not true. I mean, yes, it's true the stock market is hitting record highs, but it was hitting record highs under Obama. And the president said, so what? It's a bubble. Well, it's still a bubble. So don't brag about the stock market. Don't brag about creating 1 million jobs when President Obama also created more than 1 million jobs last year during the same months that he's bragging about. It's the same low-paying, crappy jobs that the president correctly labeled low-paying, crappy jobs when he was a candidate for president. And now that he is president, he's claiming credit for those jobs as if those low-paying, crappy jobs are actually good. And don't say the economy is booming. It's the same as it was under Obama. Right, so he didn't have to go there. And I will continue to criticize the president for claiming victory for battles he has not won and for basically taking the bait because he's now going to be the fall guy when the economy implodes and the market tanks. I mean, this is something that this is a big mistake. He is not being well advised to try to promote. And I know he's a promoter, right? Donald Trump in the free market, it's all about branding and about promotion. And it's about working with what you've got. So he is trying to spin things as being positive now that he's president. So he wants to use these statistics to market his presidency and his success. But he should resist that temptation because it makes him a hypocrite. But where he's not a hypocrite and where he refuses to be a hypocrite is in describing the events that took place in Charlottesville. And that's where the press is being hypocritical because all of the furor has to do with the fact that the left is saying that President Trump has not denounced the fascists or the racists or the white supremacists or the neo-Nazis or whoever it was that was part of this protest, that he hasn't denounced them enough. What the president said was that he was condemning the violence on both sides, and that angered the left. Why are you condemning violence on both sides? You should only condemn violence on one side. But that would be hypocritical. If you're going to condemn violence, then you have to condemn it in totality. You can't just say, well, it's okay for a certain group to be violent because we don't find their political beliefs as offensive as this other group, who is even more offensive, and therefore they can't be violent. You can't make those moral judgments. Either you're against it or you're not. And Donald Trump is rightly blaming both sides for the violence and for the deaths that occurred in Charlottesville. But the media wants to give Black Lives Matter, and they want to give Antifa, they want to give these thugs a pass, and they want to blame it all on the thugs that were there to protest.